Over the past couple of years, a lot of HBCU football teams have struggled to get fans to attend their games. So in this video, I want to go over the Prime effect, and it's really how Coach Prime was able to increase the attendance at Jackson State while he was there, and how this can be used to help other HBCUs do the same thing. And I want to give y'all some stats to further emphasize how impactful what he did at Jackson State was for the university and how other HBCUs can draw from it. So in 2019, the average fan attendance was 33,762 fans per game, I'm assuming, or across the season. In 2021, that number increased by 20% and went to 42,293 attendees. Now, I don't know if this was per game or across the season, but nonetheless, the impact was felt. Coach Prime got hired in 2020. So from 2019, from prior to when he was there, it was at 33,762. And after he made the announcement during that 2021 season, it was at 42,293 people. So, I mean, he did something. He had to know what he was doing, because not only did he increase it that year, but he increased it a year after. So there was a strategy into the process that went to increasing this fan attendance. And not only did fan attendance increase, but they almost doubled their revenue. In 2021, it was 2.2 million, and in 2022, it was 4.1 million. So almost a double increase in revenue. So it made me start questioning, like, what did they do? What was done there to get this type of impact, and how can other HBCUs learn from it? Because there's principles in everything. There's principles in business. There's principles in sports. There's principles in everything. That's just how God made everything. So I got here a list of 5 things that if you are at a HBCU, maybe you tell your coach, maybe you tell your administrator, or maybe you chime in as an alumni. What I'm about to go over is a 5-step principle that I titled the Prime Effect. I mean, it's already been titled that. That's what a lot of people know it as when Coach Prime goes to a university and the revenue and fan attendance and engagement increase. But I got this 5-step principle called the Prime Effect, breaking down exactly how Coach Prime increases fan engagement and increases the revenue at whatever school he goes to. So step number 1. One of the things that he did when he was at Jackson State was leverage his personal brand. Everybody knows him for a certain set of things. When I think of Coach Prime, I think of like 4 things: faith, family, football, and Flash. I say the Flash because that's his whole mantra. Like, that's his whole energy. That's his whole aura. Like, he makes everything that he does a movie, right? Whether it could be going for a walk around his house. It could be going for a walk in Colorado, and it's just, everybody knows it, and it's not just a regular walk. It's a full-on experience. And this experience that he was able to do at Jackson State came from leveraging his personal brand. So he built off who he was as a football player, and not only that, he built off who he was going to be as a head coach, a father, a son, a brother, and so much more to all of his athletes. This is what made people buy into Jackson State, because they're buying into him. So if you're at an HBCU right now, you're thinking, well, how is that going to apply to me? You got to look at, what is it that your coach, or what have you done as a coach that people can buy into? Maybe it's your first year at an HBCU, or maybe you're trying to increase fan attendance and fan engagement. You got to leverage who you are as a person so that people can buy into you. Because before they buy into the university, they buy into the people at the university. They don't see you and think like, when people see Jackson State, an image in their mind pops up of somebody who they encounter. In most people's scenario, if they don't know Jackson State historically, they thinking of Dion. That's the same. I keep saying Dion. They thinking of Coach Prime, right? That's the same HBCU that he was the head coach of. What do people think of when they see your HBCU? And if you're the head coach of that HBCU, what do you want people to think of? Now that you have that written down, whether it's, 3 pillars or a motto that you go by, people should know that every single time that they see the university and your name. If they don't, then they don't have nothing to buy into. Nothing will separate your university from the next. And it's crucial because, we can always say funding is an issue. But if you got a quality product that nobody knows about, it don't matter. Like, it does not matter. People want to invest in the stuff that they like. And they don't know if they like you if you don't market what you're all about. One of the coaches that I think is doing a great job with this is Coach Berry at South Carolina State. When I think of Coach Berry, I'm thinking of a man of faith, but a man that always has an impactful speech. Anytime you listen to him talk, it's like you ready to run through a brick wall. Anytime you listen to him speak, it's like you ready to do whatever it is that he's tasking you to do for the day. If you're having a bad day, he can lift your spirits up. If you feel like you're undisciplined, he could get you right back into the flow of things. So I say all that to say that people should know the personal brand of the head coach at your program. And if the head coach does not want to step into that light, then they got to start leveraging the players. A star player is a great person to enhance the personal branding of, especially with NIL, right? So if you're a team and you got a star player that a lot of people have already attached to, for instance, let's go back to Jackson State. After Coach Prime comes Shador, right? People love Shador not only because he's the son of the head coach, but because of who he is as a person. He performs in the spotlight. He has the same flash that his dad has, and he's the quarterback of at the time, a winning team. So we need to, if you're at an HBCU right now, whether you're a head coach, a player, administration, you need to take this personal branding aspect to whoever's in charge of that football team, which in most cases is the head football coach or the athletic director, and tell them like, we need to start leveraging our personal brands. People buy into people they know, like, and trust. You can't ask for funding if people don't even know who you are. Like, that's the biggest misconception. It's like, we not marketing the quality products and the quality people that we have on this campus, yet we gonna complain that we don't got money coming in. It's contradicting, but that's step number one, leverage your personal brand. Whether you're using the personal brand of the head coach or the personal brand of a star player, or even the branding of the school in itself. Sometimes, some coaches may not be social media savvy, which if you're not social media savvy, you need to get into it. You need to be leveraging that, because if we're going to say that funding is an issue, well, everybody got a phone, so everybody can record content. Everybody can make videos. That's going to take us down to the step 2 of this 5-step principle, but everybody has a phone, and a phone is all you need to start making content. A phone is some connection to Wi-Fi. So it's like, I don't want to hear no, funding is an issue, or I don't know how to use social media. You got YouTube, learn how to do it, get comfortable talking in front of that camera so that people can know, like, and trust who you are as a person, and be willing to invest once you start producing the results. Even if you don't, people will still invest just because they enjoy who you are. Step number 2, not only did he leverage his personal brand, but he was posting content consistently. He got his son, Deion Jr., Bucky, as a lot of people know him, to film practice. These pieces of content was like the center of the sports world back when he was at Jackson State, and even now when they're at Colorado. It was like something that people could go home after a long day of work or even on their way to work and watch. And the reason that this is important is because the more that you're able to put up those reps and put up that content, the more people feel bought into the day-to-day life and experience that your program has to offer. It was people that I guarantee you did not even know that Jackson State had the first time, was that 2021? I think it was 2020 or 2021. That was an awkward year for football because, you had the COVID year and then like a short year or something. But one of those years, Jackson State had a losing record. And a lot of people ain't even know that. But since they was posting content consistently, they started getting bought in on the players themselves. A lot of people don't even know the records, but they see players that they could see themselves in, and they buy into that. So now it's like a whole TV show, right? And this TV show allows attention to grow on not only that player, but the program. One of the things that he did with his players that a lot of people had adopted into their program, and I think the program before he did it, I think UCF did it, but they put the @names of the players on the back of their jersey. Now, whether you for it or not, that's up to you. But how I see that is leveraging, again, the consistent content that you're posting will then increase the personal branding of the players depending on what type of practice they have or what type of person they are. So now you then leverage that attention and the branding of that player for NIL deals. So again, it's like a circle. It's a loop. Marketing is the premier thing, or the first thing that you need to have in your business. If people don't know that you do good business, like, how you going to get it to the market. Like even referrals, that's the type of marketing, right? That's what I assume at least. But you have a quality product and you need to start putting it out to the marketplace. You can't, it's either or. You need to start marketing and posting out content consistently. That's what I'm getting to. So that's step two. So step one, personal branding. Step two, posting content consistently. It does not have to be perfect, especially when you're just starting out. Sometimes people just want to see stuff to buy them time. People be bored at home. People want to see stuff from their university. They want to see sports content. So just post it and do it consistently. If you're not posting every single day as a program, you behind the eight ball. You got to look at programs like Alabama. You got to look at programs like Ohio State. This is how we need to start envisioning our HBCUs because they not too far off. Like when I say not too far off, the capabilities of posting content are not too far off. Everybody, like I said, has a phone and you can start posting content consistently today. Find somebody, hire them. I bet you if somebody on the staff or in school that would be willing to do that, but the opportunity hasn't been presented to them. So, we falling behind the eight ball. Step number 3, I call it the influencer method. Now, I don't know if y'all remember, but back when he was at Jackson State, it seemed like every single game had a celebrity or some type of influencer there. And what this made me realize is like when you inviting celebrities to games, not only are they building a platform or extending their audience, but you're attracting the audience of whoever that influencer or celebrity is. So one of his games, I think he had Rick Ross there. And Rick Ross, if I'm not mistaken, Rick Ross is even from Mississippi. That's a fun fact. If you ain't know it, I could be wrong, but I think he is from Mississippi, and then he moved to Florida. Florida is in his biggest branding pillars, but he was born in Mississippi or lived in Mississippi for a portion of his life. So he brings Rick Ross to the game, and then Rick Ross has his own lineup of events that he could attend. But people that like Rick Ross, if they don't like the game, they come in because of Rick Ross. And if they coming for Rick Ross, then they're going to be at the game because that's where he was attending. So if you at an HBCU right now, one of the things that you can learn from this is if you got a local influencer that's known in your city, that's known in your state, try to invite them out to a game. Offer them the incentive of being on the sidelines, being able to expand their audience, free lifetime or season tickets. Like this is just me thinking off the top of my head because I know one of the biggest things you're going to say, well, that costs money. Well, just reach out. Like you never know. You just got to reach out and have some type of faith behind the work and the outreach that you're doing. So that's step 3, the influencer method. He invited celebrities, influencers, rappers, artists, whatever, out to the game so that, they could, 1, experience the game, but 2, as a side effect of that, they then expanded their audience and the exposure that they got into their brand. Because they like, shoot, I came for the game, but who is this on the sideline with all the chains and all the people and all the sitting in the seats and stuff? That's another thing, too. That's going to lead us into point 4. By inviting the celebrities and influencers, he turned the game into an event. And I'm going to say that again. By inviting celebrities and influencers, along with a series of other things that we're about to go over, he turned the game into an event or an experience. That's even a better word, right? When you came to the game, not only were you getting a quality product on the field, but you were getting an entire experience. You had live DJs. At one time, I think they even had these big seats on the sideline for any of these celebrity guests that came. So now it's not like, oh, I'm just coming to the game to be on the sideline and watch and stand all day. It's like, oh, I'm going to kick it with Coach Prime on the sideline in this reserved seating with comfortable chairs that I could go and watch them potentially win this game on. Even if they lose, that experience is remembered because how many times are you going to a college football game at an HBCU where you have comfortable sideline seating with, a bunch of other celebrities next to you that you can enjoy, laugh, and kick it with? And I'm pretty sure it's probably even more that went into that because you got to think it's a whole process from them leaving the airport. It's just a lot of experience that you need to cultivate within your university that'll help you, increase that fan engagement, which will then increase the revenue of your school. But you got to turn the games into experiences. A lot of people in this generation and, older people, they like to feel a part of something. People love to be a part of experiences that create memories. So a lot of those Jackson State games, they weren't just football games. Those were experiences that they gonna tell their kids. Like, man, I know I went to Jackson State when they played XYZ and Rick Ross was on the sideline and Shador just threw a touchdown and this happened and that. Like, that's an entire experience in itself. That's different from just saying, oh, come to the game at 6 p.m. on Saturday. What fun is that going to do for somebody that wants to attend this game? What reason do they have to get up out their bed, say, oh, no, I'm not going to a happy hour, or I'm not going to go home after work. I'm going to go to your university and watch the game. You got to make it an experience. It got to be this. When you look at when Coach Prime was at Jackson State, it was like certain games, they just seemed like, oh, I don't want to miss this one. I don't want to miss this one because I don't know who's going to be coming out. I don't know what the score is going to be. I don't know what game what type of game Shador going to have. Like, it was just more than just a football game. It was an event. It was an experience that people wanted to witness and be a part of. So that's why they attended. People don't just, you're going to have from what I'm seeing, you're going to have a certain amount of people that are attending the football game for the football game. They ain't gonna have the certain amount that's gonna attend it for the band and because they just real, avid supporters. But you got these people in the middle that need something to do on a Saturday that you're not targeting because you're not making the game an experience. You gotta make that game an experience. And I'm talking to, the head coach, the administrators, or even the players to tell they, head coach, administrators and share with them because, at the end of the day, I feel like being able to do this helps everybody eat. You get more fans to attend the game, your revenue comes up, and in hopes the revenue increases. Now you be able to reinvest into the product of football, get better equipment, get bigger NIL deals, get better, pay your staff better. It's like what they call this, a spin wheel. I think that's the right terminology, but like a spin wheel, right? You market, you have a great quality product, you market it, you start increasing the fan engagement, you continue winning, you start increasing the revenue, and now you invest right back into the product. Better athletes, better, equipment, better pay for your staff. You just have better leverage, and then again, you start leveraging, taking us into point 5, you can start leveraging media deals, right? And the only way, the reason why I say you start leveraging media deals is because you have to, step 5 in this process is to control the narrative. Now, with access to social media, this got to be like one of the most pivotal things you can do as a program. Controlling the narrative of your program can set the tone for when those media companies like ESPN come knocking, or Netflix or Amazon Prime, whatever. One thing I like that Coach Prime did was he didn't let ESPN set the stage. When he was at Jackson State, his whole motto was I believe, right? He was like, I believe, even though we're at HBCU, I believe, right? That was the tone. That was the motto for the program. And he didn't wait for ESPN to say, oh, let's look what Dion doing over, what Coach Prime doing over here. Let's look what Coach Prime doing over here. He was like, no, we're going to make this thing work. So when y'all come, we going to need y'all to, I don't know if they did this, but, I would assume, because then unless they just making content for free for Amazon Prime and Netflix or whatever. But, when y'all set the tone like this and you cultivate an audience that you now own from the content that you have consistently put out, when those media companies want to come fill, oh yeah, you're going to have to cough up that money. You're going to have to cough up that bread because y'all put the work to control your narrative and set the tone for whatever motto it is and whatever identity y'all want to assume for that season. That is key because you could just see him, again, he took it to Colorado. His motto and the narrative that he had with Colorado was we coming, right? We coming for everybody. Like there was 1-11 and, the whole thing was like the underdog story, we coming. So you got to find out, what that model, what that narrative is for your program, and everyone should know that. Similar to like how everybody should know the personal branding of the type of person you are, right? You got certain interests that you love, that people love as well, but they don't know that you like them because you're not marketing it. And the moment that you do, you start gaining an audience that resonates with you, and then will in hopes invest into the program that you're currently running. So this was a lot. I'm going to go over it. I'm going to recap it again. I don't know who stayed until the end of this video, But before I recap it, if you want me to help your program, just send me an email at furtherculturehbcu@gmail.com. Email me the prime effect, and that's how I know you want me to help you, leverage this same principle to help, increase the fan engagement at your program or wherever you're at, right? And if you're a player, share this to your staff, share this to your administration. I want to help y'all. That's the biggest thing and the biggest reason why I started this platform, because myself, I'm not going to get too much on me, but I'm a former HBCU athlete myself, and I wanted to see more exposure be brought to athletes like you, to coaches like you, and to the administration that does the work behind the scenes but doesn't get recognized, right? So this is why I'm doing it. Now for the recap. The prime effect, step one, leverage your personal brand. The personal brand of the head coach, a star player, or just the overall brand of the university. That's something that people should know. That's something that people should know automatically. I went to Howard. The biggest thing was truth and service. Everybody know that. Truth and service. Howard is the top of the top, premium people. But people don't know that. People only know that, one, of course, because they experience themselves, but two, because it's marketed that way. So step one in the prime effect is to leverage your personal brand of you, the person, or the branding of your university. Step number two is content, posting content consistently. You don't got to worry about perfection. Find one of the students that you could, give a free shirt or give free access to the games, have them follow you around with a phone, and start posting that content consistently every single day, whether it's a practice, whether it's just a little clip of, the players and stuff like that. You need to be doing that every single day. And really, if you really want to get the ball rolling, a couple times per day. Because just think about how much content you saw today. Before you saw this video, you probably saw tens, hundreds of pieces of content. But, the only reason that you've been sticking around to my channel and to my page is because I'm always posting content. Step number three, the influencer method. Make sure to invite, local celebrities, local influencers that are staying within your city or your state to the games to draw their audience in and to expand the exposure of their own brand. That's key, right? All the celebrities that Jackson State had, walking them out of the tunnel and things of that nature. Step four, turn the game into an actual experience. Don't just make it, hey, come attend our local game at 6 p.m. Make it, hey, come attend this can't miss event because XYZ is going to be here performing this, or, standing on the sidelines with us. Come, enjoy the show. Don't make it just attend this event. That just sounds too boring. That sounds like something people could watch on their TV. And that's what a lot of people are doing when it comes to these HBCU games. They like, shoot. And sometimes you don't even got access to the game on the TV. So some of them just like waiting for highlights to get posted on my page or some other page, right? So we got to turn the games into an experience. Step five, we got to control the narrative. Now, when all that's done, we got to control the narrative. Or even before all this is done, we got to control the narrative. Don't let the big news stations start writing, oh, this is the little HBCU that needs funding and they can't afford it. Man, no. Set the tone for your university and be like, look, we the best of the best and y'all just finding us out, right? So when it's time, now again, you got to perform because you can't just be talking. But when it's time, now you have a national brand that's recognized, that you control since day one, that the media can't try to twist and turn. Just think about how many times, and if y'all saw me looking down at in this video, it's because I'm staring at the notepad. Just think about how many times the media try to control the narrative about Dion, Coach Prime. Forgive me if you're watching this. Think about how many times they try to control the narrative. And if he didn't have that camera rolling, then they would have been able to do just that. But luckily, his son was recording and they could actually paint the picture to the audience that even if there was some negativity that comes out, because, you're going to have people, you're going to have trolls, don't got nothing better to do, so they down on the next person that's doing something way better than just sitting at home, right? You're going to have those. You're going to have trolls. But just imagine if he ain't controlled the narrative of the teams that he's been on and around his whole life. People would be painting all types of pictures, and they still try to. But his leverage in media is so vast that even when people try to throw that, you got probably hundreds of people combating like, man, that's not who he is. That's not who he is. That's not the Coach Prime I know. So when you cultivate these audiences, you begin to be able to push the narrative that you know to be true and not the narrative that the world wants you to abide by. So, man, that's the Prime Effect 5-step principle to help increase fan engagement and your overall revenue at your program. If you are a player, if you're a coach and you are administration, feel free to email me if you want me to help you do this with your own personal brand or at your program at for the culture HBCU at gmail.com. And I'll catch y'all on the next one.